Rock on. All right. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Gaming with Rico. I am here with JC.
What's up?
I am here with Scott.
Yo.
I am here with Shonna.
Hello.
Oh,
I'm
my
sorry.
goodness.
Hey.
Thanks. And I am here with, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Gary.
Gary. Hi, Gary.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So we just got done watching Loved One, right?
You made me so sad.
Loved One was the name of the film. Shonna, you wrote this film?
Yes, I did.
Who directed this film?
Mr. Gary.
Gary, you
right
directed
here.
this film?
Yes, I did.
This was all shot in Florida, right?
In Florida,
your
Pinellas
home
County.
state?
Mm-hmm. Well, not home state. My home state is Indiana.
Oh, okay.
But now I live in Florida.
But now you're living in Florida.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a Hoosier. What?
And it was a nice, probably 18-minute film about a topic that isn't brought up enough. And when it is brought up, people have difficulties, I think, understanding and approaching the topic.
Could you give us a synopsis, Gary, in your words real quick?
Yeah, share with us the topic of the film and your vision for the film and why you felt it was so important for audiences to see.
Well, the film is about a true story of a woman who had a stillbirth child and just how they deal with the loss, not only her, but her and her husband, and how they kind of cope with the grief and the understanding, the pain, the struggle that they've dealt with. So that's what the synopsis of the film's of.
And one of the interesting things about the film is I think this topic doesn't get discussed enough in terms of people who go through something like that are often left to suffer kind of on their own, in private. And the film kind of brings it out into the light, in a way that I think is really cathartic and helpful for people in that situation.
Yeah, because people, as soon as they hear it, and especially when they see it, people come out of nowhere and tell us, like the guy who was doing the video. He came out of nowhere. You were sitting there and said about how his wife, they relate it to either miscarriage or stillbirth, and they're like, wow. And then they just start spilling, and it's like they don't talk about it, and then all of a sudden they feel this freedom that they can talk about it, and they can really, and that's kind of why we wanted to do the film. Was my friend, he should have been 13 this year, and she asked me, what was his purpose? Because I lost him before I was born. She has the daughter now, and she goes, sometimes I look at my daughter and I get really upset that I didn't have that time with him. She was like, I know I'm not supposed to be mad, but I get really sad because it's like I didn't get to see him at this age. Sometimes she wonders what he would be doing at age 13. She wonders, would he be playing football? Would he be, would he be fun? Would he be, all these things. And she basically came to the realization that this story and telling the film was her healing process and understanding that that was his purpose, is to reach out and help all these other.
I feel like this is such a taboo topic that we still struggle with today in America because you don't hear about it widely. You don't hear about groups or networks of people that want to help people that have gone through the same kind of instance. And I feel like this film is a great introduction to bring that topic up, to let people know, you're not alone. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but just you have to wonder how many children are lost each year due to stillbirth, due to no circumstances of the parents, or it happens. It's a freak effect or a freak occurrence, and people need to realize that there is an outreach or people that will comprehend or understand or be willing to help you through the pain, but nobody knows where to start that process. And I think this 18-minute film is a good PSA for that. Mm-hmm. Like we saw the stars of the film talk to their pastor, and that was really the only person that they talked to. Mm-hmm. I think this film could help take the very real issue of that one step further. This should be a film that's introduced to like support and counsel groups as a tool to let them know you're not alone in this struggle, and here's a film to let you know that you can find help. Sorry.
Well, like a lot of people who they don't talk about miscarriage because if they do, people pass it on like whatever. The baby didn't exist, whatever. And they don't realize no matter what stage it was, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, that hits, another friend of mine. She had one at 5 months, and she still suffers with it. She was like, I can't look at the ultrasound pictures. I can't think about it. You know, she didn't ask to know the sex. So she's like, I can't go back and look to see what the sex is because she said it would be detrimental.
Well, yeah, a lot of people seem to, I think, especially people who haven't gone through it, have this attitude that it's almost like, it's like trying to learn how to ride a bike. Like you fall off a bike, you skin your knee, get up, keep going, get up, keep going.
Yeah,
and that's not how that works. You know, and I think a lot of people get into a real place of psychological trauma because they don't pause and grieve because they're not allowed to in a lot of ways.
That's why they pass it off like, whatever, the child didn't exist because, you know, he didn't last that long, so whatever.
Right.
Well, I think that grieving process, I think that's part of it. I think you also have to be able to talk about it. And I think that is the real struggle, especially when you know someone. You haven't gone through it, but you know they've suffered. And how do you bring that up? I think that's kind of a difficult topic. And, you know, even though this film doesn't address anyone outside of the church doing that, but it is, you know, we all know people that have gone through a miscarriage or a stillbirth. And I think, getting back to Rico's point, I think this is a good way to maybe have them watch this and say, listen, I think this will help you. I don't know what to say, but I care about you. I wish I could do something, but I'm there. I care. And, you know, I'll do anything. You know, you want to talk sometime, I'll listen. I think that's the big thing is just getting that conversation started because grieving, I mean, you do grieve, but at some point you have to accentuate it. You have to talk about it. If you just think about it and do it on your own, that's only part of the process. At some point, you've got to get that out. You've got to somewhat talk about it.
That's kind of why I wrote the husband's role that way, is because men are very strong. They hold things in. They don't do anything, and that's why, like I told him,
me no feel. We like to.
The pivotal moment was he finally got to that point of I can't handle it anymore.
He broke down. I think that was very important.
Well, I really like that you brought that because even the pastor made me mad because she was like, "Well, your wife I expected to see, but not you." I'm like, don't say that to him.
Well, but it's kind of our perception.
Yeah,
and I think
it absolutely is.
That was part of what, like Shonna said, we were trying to play to that. Is like this is really how we see it happening, and you know, it shouldn't be this way. You know, it's okay to cry over your son. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm a parent. I've cried more as a parent than I ever have over anything. I told my wife, nothing personal. I get more emotional over my kids than I do you.
Yeah,
but it does. It kind of walks you to where we think, okay, this is how you should act. And then all of a sudden, you know, you see these characters kind of step outside of that and really let it all out and talk about things that people don't want to say out loud, but they've thought. And that's where I think the connection. I mean, you guys talked about you guys were moved. That's part of, as a director and a writer, you just want whatever you do on film to affect people. I was making a comment. The worst thing that can happen is people go, meh. Yeah. I would rather you either love it or hate it, but don't be indifferent.
Yeah.
Because that's you have evoked. Okay, if it's evocative, if you get a response, love is not the opposite of hate. Apathy is the opposite of love and hate. When you're like, I don't care.
Right.
Well, so I always wondered with my wife, because when I have two children, I have a little boy and a little girl, 11 and 9.
Adorable.
And they're wonderful. They're like you said, my wife and I've had that conversation. I was like, I'm sorry, honey, if I had to only pick, the kids or you.
They're phenomenal
sorry.
parents. No, like normally 11, it's like Lord of the Flies. Their two kids are like something straight out of Narnia. Father, may you direct me to the nearest wardrobe, please, Father.
Yeah, that's
they
a
are well behaved to the max, like tea and crumpets peeking in the air.
Thank you. They're very nice.
They look at me like, you're a disgusting savage.
Well,
that we did have that look once.
It's bad.
So they had. So my wife, both times we were pregnant, I was like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna tell everybody." She's like, "No," and I'm like, "Whoa, why would we not?" For 3-4 months.
That's what I did.
Right.
You're right.
I didn't tell anybody for 3 months because I didn't want having a miscarriage.
Because
and then people.
And the notion was like, well, why can't I
waited.
tell? And they went, oh, no. And I'm like, and women know this. Women have been. I did not know. I was like, me, the loop. I had no idea. I'm like,
I want to shout from the mountaintop.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, I want to tell everyone. And she was like, no.
Emotionally, you can't handle that because everybody's like, yeah. And then what if you do? It's with the miscarriage that I've noticed is people just drop it as if it's nothing. It's like, oh, so sorry. Even women.
Yeah. Which
women
I
just
can't
go,
fathom.
Oh, sorry. Like he said, move on.
Well, and now we're 3-4 months in. At this point, because my wife and I went through the journey of discovery, we signed up for a whole bunch of things, and they sent us like weekly. We had 3 or 4 places that would send us weekly updates. Like, okay, here's what the fetus is. We're doing this, and we're doing this, and these are the changes. And by 3-4 months in, the female has been rewired in the brain. Like, we're now wiring you because my wife and I had really long conversations because she's like, I don't want kids. She's like, this is not really a thing, and I don't really want to do this. And I was like, okay, well, let's be together, let's do this thing. And she's like, okay. And finally, it became, I would have kids with you. This was her speaking, but I don't want to have kids with that other guy. There's another guy. That guy, no, that's not happening. This is not happening. That's not happening. And she finally said, okay, let's have kids, and I think we can raise the kids together. And to watch her go from that, and with my son, it rewired the neural pathways, and it became this these are my children, and I'll murder you.
Right.
You think, and it was like, to see, it's a shift. It's not just, I love these kids because they're nice. No,
it's
neural
Mama Bear. That's what I call it.
Mama Bear is
Bear.
Oh, yeah.
There's some switch in it.
Yes.
Because I have the same thing. My son, if I say, somebody's bothering you, oh no. He'll just stand back and I go, am I really that mean? If somebody bothers me, yes. You're scary.
Yeah, and
there's
it was
a switch.
It was
Mama
hysterical
Bear.
because for the first time at the pool, my son, they went out to the pool, and there was he's in 7th grade, and this little girl was this young lady in his class was like, you want to play together? We can hang out together, and this is good. And he was like, I don't know what to do here because he's 11 and he's a little longer. I'm not really sure how this works. And my wife said it was great, and she encouraged him and laughed. She said, but there was that thought at one point that she was like, hurt my son, and I'll kill
I
you.
will kill you.
And it was
I'll
like,
find out
what?
where you live.
I'm like, how does it? But by that point in time, so everybody, like you said, we're going to drop it like that child never existed. Well, even if we take away the child part of it, which you can't do, the wiring is already
wiring
there.
is there.
Like
As soon as you get pregnant,
yes.
As soon as you get pregnant, I can tell you for sure. As soon as you get pregnant, it changes you.
Exactly. So that from the very least. I mean, you're like, well, there was no real impact. Whoa, no. This is a brand new person.
Exactly.
And
it actually is,
Yeah.
It's like you sit there from a woman's point of view. You're sitting there going, holy crap, there's like a being growing inside of me. I mean, that's, really think about it. And that blows your mind. That's like a sci-fi thing. Oh my gosh, look, she's got something growing inside of her. But it's real. It's real, and you can feel. You can feel it. There's like butterflies in the very beginning. You can feel movement, and you're just even that early.
wow.
3 months, you can feel. It feels like butterflies, but in your stomach, and it's the craziest feeling. But then that's what gets to your head. You're like, oh my gosh, I really have, and now I can feel it, and your body starts to change, and you connect with it, and that's why when they have miscarriage or stillbirth, it's like you're taking a part of them away.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and that's one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I don't understand the medicine behind it per se, but the film kind of brings it up in a way that I couldn't tell if you actually had a position on it or not, if you're trying to make a point of it. But so there's this idea that especially late term, when there is a stillbirth and it's known, that a lot of time the medical community will force the actual labor process.
They do force it.
As opposed to a C-section. And I don't know if there are medical reasons behind that, but is that a bad thing?
I think it's more
Is it a good thing?
emotional is what it is. They want it, and they don't just want to, do surgery on anything. It's like for them, it's therapeutic.
Okay.
And same with my friend, who the story is based on. Him talking to her, they did have her hold him. That what they do is after they give birth, they go clean him up like normal. They take pictures of him. And then they bring the baby, and you have to hold him. She at first was like, I don't want to. She said, no, you have to. The nurse said, you have to. You don't have a choice. She was like, but I don't want to. No, you have to. And they make her hold him for like 2-3 hours. So she's sitting there holding a baby that she knows has passed it. And she did carry him for 3 days, knowing that he was gone. And they had induced. That whole story is right. They had induced, and she's like, all her mind is get him out of me.
Yeah.
Because she was just at that point where it was like, I have to separate myself because I have this child who I fell in love with inside of me. And, it's mind blowing that she was able to live through that. But they take the pictures, they make him hold him. And like she posted pictures of her father holding him. And she goes, if you know my father, you know that my dad would never do that.
Yeah.
But my dad held him because he wanted to embrace that moment when he knew that that was the last time he could see him. So, and they make them bury. They have to bury them.
Oh, yeah.
And so she said, I had to go through the whole funeral process. I had to get the grave. I had to, so we kind of hide the year just because of the film,
Right.
because
Right,
of how I wrote it. Like I
To
said,
protect the identity
to protect
of the
the
of
identity.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
and just hearing her, like I interviewed her for 2.5 hours because I wanted her story from the very beginning of when she found out she was pregnant to when she lost him, because that is a process. The
yeah.
longer you're pregnant,
Oh,
the
yeah.
more you grow with them and
Oh,
you
yeah.
get connected. And you, being a mom, you talk to you talk to them and you're like, I can't wait to meet you. I can't. And then, I wanted the dad part because I wanted them, to associate that guys aren't just whatever. Guys get
Oh, yeah, no,
connected
no.
to the child as well
That
because
was an
it's
and
part
by
of
the-
them.
incredibly powerful moment for me watching the male break down. And
I want to tell you, George or Jorge, he was amazing. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Working with him, he really embraced the role.
Well, his mom actually had miscarriages,
And
so he
And I mean-
understood.
so he was a lottery winner.
yeah.
Yes.
So I mean,
And I found that after. I just found that out.
see, I was
couple
going to
weeks
say
ago.
I didn't know. I didn't was going to say that
A couple
off the
weeks
air.
ago,
Like I had
when
no.
she saw the film at the pre-screening, she came up to me and she was like, Shonna, of course this opens up. She was like, Shonna, I have to tell you, this is such an extraordinary film. And she goes into the story. I had a miscarriage. So keep going.
No, it just you talk about that, and I thought he did an amazing job, just really embodying what we're trying to go after as far as, like you said, his breakdown. Just even, I mean, not
It
to give
was
away if you
it
haven't
was
seen
sincere.
with the
It was,
with the
yeah.
stuffed animal. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, there were certain things that you write, and Sean and I would talk over shots and do things, and we got in there, and that was just kind of something that happened kind of on the fly. I said, he just picked it up. I said, that's awesome. We got to use this because that's something that Dad would do. You have something of your kids,
Yeah.
and you're just, I mean, and that just took him to an emotional place. And I mean, it came out in there, and it was amazing. And the whole cast did great. I mean, Shonna
the cast
obviously,
was amazing.
but I was, it's sometimes hard, like you said, to get guys to get into that mode. And I just thought he knocked it out of the park. I couldn't have been happier with what he brought to the performance.
And
was-
he met Tracy.
Yeah.
She was on set. I told you she was on set. And I asked her to be on set, and she wanted to be on set. She was really, at that point, she felt like it was therapeutic, and she had gotten to the point where it was like, okay, but the poor thing, she was crying, throughout she was on set during the church scenes. So that's one of the things that pushed me emotionally. And Gary was awesome, director. He really got, me to peak. But knowing that she was there and listening, and I was playing her, I was like, I have to make sure and bring that emotion because she deserves it. And Tristan is his name. I was like, Tristan deserves it. And that's what I told her. And she's like, Tristan's story. But the bear, because you mentioned the bear I gave to them. And she's like, oh, you don't have to give it. I said, no, this is a representation of your son. You deserve it. So her daughter, I guess, watched something, and she goes, look, the bear, baby went to heaven. Baby went to heaven. There's the bear. And I'm just like,
Here we go again.
So, as a writer and a director trying to tell this story of this family, how often and how much artistic liberty did you take with the story? How true to the source did you stay, and how much did you have to alter to protect the identity of those telling the story?
the truth is they did not stay together, but it was not because of the death of the child.
Right.
It was because they went and tried to adopt several times. They tried in vitro, and they all failed. So it was that stress that actually caused. She was told she was never able to have children again, which is, of course, where the angel comes in too. So that was basically the
That was
only.
it?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think really,
Yeah,
you know,
that was-
once I read the script with Shonna, because we had talked about working on a few projects together, and when I read it, and I think she got right away what I was going for. I knew what the story was. 95% of it was just we're gonna stick with it. I mean, we tweaked some script just a little bit to help dialogue,
to flow,
but
yeah.
we didn't. I mean, the core of the story is there, and I think
Now I threw the pastor in there. Pastor's not part of the story. But the reason I put the pastor in there was because of the therapeutic. I've been there.
Yeah.
That was the whole purpose of the pastor, and not just saying, "Oh, I understand."
Right.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah,
No.
it wasn't pandering.
It was, I do have a story, and that was the whole surprise. Oh my gosh, the pastor has a story herself.
And I think that is kind of a metaphor for what we talked about. You don't realize the people you're around, things they've gone. We know each other as well as we allow people to know us.
Yeah.
And then once you sort of open that door of, man, I suffered through this, or this really affected me. You sort of, people finally let their guard down a little bit and say, you know what, I have something similar. And that's what we're kind of looking for there is, you get that connection when you open yourself up a little bit.
Well, one of the things about the film is that it really just touches on a hornet's nest of issues that we just don't talk about, to the point where this is pinging people across. But like me, for example, I was an identical twin, and he got the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck, and I came out first, and then he died. But until I was 8 years old, I had a feeling like someone was missing. So there's a line in the movie about missing someone you've never met that was just,
Wow.
And I was really grateful for my mom, because my dad wanted to, because I would do weird stuff. I would set places at the table for somebody that wasn't there. I was constantly playing hide and seek with an imaginary friend and that kind of thing. And so my dad wanted me to do therapy for it, but Mom was like, no, let that play out. Let that play out. And eventually it went away. Eventually it processed out.
Wow.
But yeah, it was years
Wow.
of that. So I think grief is complex and it's subtle, and there's more to it, and we don't handle death well as a society, I think.
No.
And I think the film starts to open that door in a really, really good way.
Well, I think your point earlier about move on, that's really what we kind of expect anymore. Today, no matter whether it's death or just tragedy in general, it's like, okay, let's get on to the next news cycle. That was great for today. All right, wrap it up.
That's right.
Well, let's move on.
Yeah.
And it's not, you're right.
It was a year ago, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not that simple.
Yeah.
It really isn't. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think too many times we want to put it in a box. We do. We just want to kind of say, okay, here it is. That's it. Now forget about it.
Yeah.
And what he's referencing is a conversation we had off mic before the interview, where we were talking about regarding, miscarriages and stillbirths and all these issues that we socially kind of had an attitude. It's like riding a bike. You fell off the bike, scraped your knee, get up, go again. Get up, go again. Just get up, go again. And it's not really, it doesn't work that way.
And it's really emotional to see women watch this who have been through it and just connect, and connect as if they're watching, like my friend who lost her child when he was 5 months, or I think it's a girl. She wanted a girl so bad. She has 2 boys now, and that's what she even looked at me. She had tears in her eyes, and she goes, I don't want to know. I can't know. But she just looked at me, and she was like, it's as if you were reading my mind. And she said, everything that you said, that's what I said. I can't believe it. And her husband won't talk to her about it. He just can't handle it because,
that's too bad.
he wanted. So it's like she goes, I want to talk about it, but I can't. I don't have anybody. So I had no idea. I knew she had miscarriages, but I had no idea that it was to 5 months until she watched the film.
So there is the want. So I've got 2 branches here. The first branch is, you're right, we don't talk about any of this, and it's just, you're not supposed to talk about it. You're supposed to glaze over it. You're supposed to go right through. And I remember and now to relate the other side of the emotional from the father's side, my son was 8 weeks early.
Oh, wow.
As a preemie. Okay, that's 2 months.
It's really early.
Oh, well, and that's really, really, okay? I was like, I had just gotten the email that said, your child's lungs are now fully formed. They could breathe on their own if they needed to. There it is. And it was like, oh, now we're going to the thing. Oh, okay, he's got lungs now. This is great. So we take us in, and they put the baby monitor on and the whole thing, and they had everything situated, and you could hear the right? And all of a sudden, it goes beep, and we all lost it, right? And we were like, oh, no, the thing moved. Okay, all right, we're better.
But it's that heart-wrenching feeling, even if it's just a second,
your
right?
Your heart
It
drops.
feels like an ice pick went into your heart, and it takes your breath away.
Yeah, absolutely. They deliver the son. They deliver the boy. They take him. They race him across the hall into this. And they've got 9 doctors doing things around my son. The nurse comes up to me and she says, "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to stand outside." And I looked down at her and went, "No." Right. And she gave me this look like, oh, he could kill me before they even got over here. I'm going to go back over here. And so she jumps into the fray, and they're doing the things, and all of a sudden, all the monitors go red, and everything starts blaring.
Oh, my God.
That's when because the birth was like, okay, that's good.
Right,
We're good.
right.
We're going to be
Yeah.
fine. We're going to be fine. And they were like, and all the doctors go from da to and like that was the point when I went, and I got goosebumps right now where I'm like, oh my God, I could lose my son.
Right.
And they were like, do you, and then the second nurse, because first nurse looked at the second nurse and said, I'm not talking to that guy again. That's not going to happen. Turned and looked at me and said, sir, you don't want to be here right now.
Oh, wow.
And I went, no, actually I do. You need to go to work.
Right.
Yeah.
And they went, okay. And she got the same look of, I'll snap you in half. You're not moving me from this room. And everything, it took a half hour, and all the lights started to turn green again. And they went back, and it was like, okay, we have the ambulance to take him over to St. Vincent to the NICU, and we're going to do that. And we're going to go there. And it was like, but that thought is bad enough for me. That's emotional enough for me as a father to just... And the thought of if those lights had stayed red, and when I've tried 3 or 4 times to go there in this
you
conversation, and I can't go there.
No.
I cannot go there.
It's like you block yourself off.
Yeah,
you
I'm
can't
like,
go
nope,
there. You can't
nope,
handle
we're
it.
not doing that because I would
Can't
just
handle
burst
it.
into tears right here.
No,
because
I
I'm like, and nope, can't do that right
Yeah,
now.
I specifically cannot talk about the last 3 minutes of that film because I will just break down.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We're here for you.
I will just break down. So now that you have successfully written such an amazing movie that we got to see, do you have anything else that you want to do? Anything else on the horizon? Anything else that you want to work on, specifically with Greg, since you guys did so well together?
Gary.
Gary, sorry.
No, see, what it is he's so
See.
emotional and affected by the film.
Yeah, I can't
that
get names straight.
I've
I'm
been-
sorry.
I've been
on
called
a side
worse.
note, I'm writing a comedy with co-writer, co-producer, which is basically a comedy about women our age dating in this technological, just completely different
I'm sorry, Gary.
that we're
That's
not
okay.
used
I
to.
apologize.
As far as
It's
Gary
not
and
easy
I,
running things, is it?
You know, George, he means well, George. He means well.
Jerry. That's Jerry.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
just call
Guys,
him
seriously.
Gertrude, just for fun.
I thought we were going with Joffrey.
That's
No?
a
That's a G, isn't it?
That's all right. It's a
I
soft
wanna-
J.
Oh, got it.
Well, no,
good.
he's Holy Gabriel. Come on now.
I like
There it
that,
is.
but the H in front of it.
There you
Holy.
Nice.
Holy. We're going to work on more stuff together. I think we work great as a team.
Yes. And I will say that too. You know, Shonna, obviously, my daughter had played the younger version of her in Submerge.
Which is how we
and-
met.
Which is how we kind of got, hooked up together. And when she approached me, like I said, we talked on the phone and we kind of exchanged scripts because one I had written, one she had written, and talked through it. And, I got a really good sense, talking to her like, hey, this is going to be good. But you don't know till you physically work with someone. Everyone, it's like, I tell people, it's like a job interview. Everyone looks good on a resume. They look good during the interview until you get them in there and they start doing the job. You're like, I'm not sure.
Exactly.
On set with her, couldn't have gone smoother. And I mean that really. I mean,
Well, what
it was.
I did was I wasn't going to micromanage. I took my hands off. I mean, I trusted Gary enough. We had talked enough. He knew and he felt the film and what I wanted. He saw my vision. And so when you were directing, I just took my hands completely off. I was like, I had to concentrate on emotion anyway. But I thought, this is his, in terms of directing, this is his baby. So I wanted him to feel like, it's his. So, and it
No,
is.
and trust is big.
I mean,
I would-
he would ask me, what do you think about this? And I would say, but unless anything happened crazy, I'd just step back.
Well, and I've been on set a number of times. My daughter's been acting now for about 5 or 6 years. She's done about 20 projects, and I've been involved with a handful now, both writing and behind the camera and directing. The ones that are successful, the people trust each other, and that was the big thing. She trusted me, I trusted her. I didn't have to worry about is she going to get this done? Is someone else? We had good people, we had good actors, and that's why it worked so smoothly.
And
it
the
really
the cast really believed in the project. They really understood. Every single one of them was completely dedicated to their role and, loved the story, wanted to get it out there. So every person, the cast, Gary, myself, were just completely into making sure. Oh, thank you.
And I mean, you guys have a
brought me
successful
water.
podcast. You know, you got to be able to trust
Oh,
each.
well, you give us too much credit. We have a podcast.
No, but I mean, you do. If you're going to be successful, if you're going to go on and do things, you have to have people that you can rely on. They're going to do what they say they're going to do. They're dependable. You trust. That's got to be a part of it. And that's why
It's almost like the theme of the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's why we're looking forward to working together again. We did. We had a lot. When I say fun, it was exciting making the film. It's a hard topic. I will tell you, I wanted to mention this earlier. As much as it's emotionally draining watching it, those days after the sets, it was hard because, you're doing multiple takes, multiple angles. And, these actors, they
Right
were
at one
trained.
point, like whenever we took the different angle for me,
Yeah.
so from behind, I couldn't cry anymore.
Yeah,
there were
and-
no tears left.
And it was. I knew that as a director, too.
And he warned me.
Yeah, the actors only have some. And we were working with the DP. We're like, listen, there's only so many chances we're going to get
Yeah.
this right. Like,
Sure. Oh, yeah.
This isn't like comedy where we can do 20 something. You've got a limited amount. You're not going to be able to cry for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And so they were long days and they were draining. But after seeing the film, I told her when we wrapped up filming, I'm like, we got something. This was good. People were moved on set, crew. It was like we got something. All that hard work paid off, and like I said, it was fun. Well, I'm looking forward to working with her again, though.
What are your plans for this film now that you have it, now that it's done, now that it's out there?
Film festivals first.
yeah.
You can't put it out distribution or anything
Right,
first
right.
until you get it through the film festivals. And we still have time to talk about how to get it. Some people want to see it on the internet. Some people are old school and want DVDs.
Typically the way these things work, you've got about a year and a half to do the film festival circuit. So similar to like this, we'll go to some festivals and even, I think there's a couple international. I haven't talked to you yet that we're going to send this to. So probably for the next year and a half,
Hot.
unless you see it in a festival, it's not going to be seen. Once that's kind of wrapped up and it's gone through all that, then we'll put it out for distribution, whether it's on just Vimeo or something like that for people to watch or
you
sell.
don't know through the film festival if somebody wants to pick it up.
And
Somebody
that's
wants
just
to
it.
pick
And
it
so-
up
or
and
somebody
expand on it.
wants to do a full feature.
Yeah.
But I would
know?
say, anyone out there that wants to see it right now, we're probably going to be posting stuff on the film festivals that it's entered in.
Yeah,
and
where
we're-
it's
that's
entered
going to
in
be
and-
the only way you're really going to see it for next year, just because a lot of these festivals, you can't distribute it.
Right.
They want to just have these, not out for mass distribution. So, we'll post. We'll have where they're out there. We definitely want to share it. That's the other thing. I know most films are like, oh, we want people to see it because, as you guys have talked about earlier, it's such a good story as far as a tough topic where I think people
Open the dialogue.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's
It's like,
why we want
it
to make
wasn't-
sure.
Yeah, it wasn't who's going to be a star. That's
No.
not how we looked at it
Yeah.
at all. It's all about
Well, actually, I think the topic was when Shonna was like, what do you want me to put down as your title? I said, I really don't care. And I told her, and I was honest, because she's like, you helped write some of the script. I was like, I don't care. And I meant that, and I told her sincerely, I go, I love this project. It's a good story.
It's funny.
That's
It's funny
all
you
I
say
said. That's all I want.
my son put. He was like a Shonna Bedford film. I said no, a Gary Stoneberg film. He goes, what do you mean? And I said he directed. He was like, oh. So it's not that we're either of us fighting. It's like we're going no. You take the credit. No, you take the credit because it's not about what we do and who we are. It's about the story.
It's about the
completely.
story.
It
Exactly.
really is. It really
That's
is.
it.
I am glad that Shonna personally invited JC and I to come see this film because if
That's
I
right.
had missed this,
I think I almost punched you just
Yeah.
to convince you.
Yeah,
But
if-
thank you.
if I had missed this, I don't think I think I would have missed a significant part of this con.
And Shonna,
Absolutely.
I believe you did punch him right in the feels.
Did I? Did I?
You did. I was punched right in the field.
Just so you know, a big thank you to Joe Green because he's the one that asked me
Yes.
if I wanted it shown. He asked me if he could show it. So
Nice.
it's totally Joe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
No,
Thank you, Joe.
really, yeah.
No.
We're very thankful.
The invaluable part here is for people that are on the sidelines saying, okay, I want to make my first film. I want to write and get out there. What are your top lessons learned, the things you would impart to them, having now, made this? What would you kind of helpful advice would you give them?
Definitely do your research on technical side.
Both are acceptable.
Yeah, both are acceptable. Technical side, just crew side, make sure you pay attention more, because I was, I started out as actress, now I'm writer behind the scene, and it's just more of, I know we had a good, what's what's the word I'm looking for? A good presentation.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, you want it to be better. So, you're nitpicking each thing. But like I said, with this film, the story carries it. So you guys didn't notice what we noticed.
Yeah.
And it's just, pay attention to the details.
I would say my advice, and I started on this route about 3 years ago with writing and then getting into producing, is, everyone's got a story to tell. Start with a story that you tell very well. That's kind of the first story I wrote was how me and my wife met. It's a funny anecdote, and it takes about 5 to 10 minutes, and people laugh. You're going to start writing. Start with something you know. And I mean, that's what makes it fun. And
that's what you can really convey.
And then, as Sean was saying, the technical stuff. Like I didn't go to film school. I don't know all the camera specs. But there is a community out there, especially on Facebook. I live in Columbus, Ohio. There's about 4 or 5 groups, and there's a lot of overlap among the local producers and directors and writers. Start going to those. They have monthly meetings. They're usually free. These guys share ideas. They are always looking for new projects. Start getting involved. You do that, almost unbelievably, the doors will open up. You'll start learning stuff, networking. That's how you meet people. That's how I met Shonna. And I'm telling you, you'll go as far as you want to. I mean, if you just say, I just want to write and hand it off, that's great. I started off with that. I just said, I just want to write stories, that's all. I'm loving the directing.
Yeah.
I'm loving the production.
And
it's infectious. I mean, I tell people all the time, I can't describe what it's like being on set. You just have to be on set. And I tell people, once you get on set, it's a euphoria that you always want to have over and over again. And so you find ways and you start right. I mean, here at this convention, I've already made a couple of networks with people on stuff I'm working on. And I'm like, I've heard about their project. They've heard about my project. Okay, what can we do here? This is going to be fun. And but it's got to start. You got to take that first step. You take that first step, I'm telling you, it'll open doors and you'll have fun with it.
Do you want to give a shout out real quick for your production company where they can find you?
Take the Step Productions. And the reason I named it that, Take the Step Productions, is take the step towards your dreams. Take the step towards your faith.
So you're going to make Rico cry again.
There's a meaning behind the name. Take the step,
Nice.
to accomplishing what you want. So takethestepproductions.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you're on the internet, that's for sure.
I am on the internet.
We're on the interwebs.
Shonna Bedford official fan page on Facebook, Shonna Bedford. Or you can just Google my name and it will all come up.
And what about you, Gladys?
Wow. Now we're not even with boys' names anymore. That's awesome.
It's okay to laugh into the mic. That makes for good listening.
If you want, you can try a higher voice just for fun. That's okay.
Actually, I've started my own production company called House of Stone Productions. I do have a Facebook page, House of Stone Productions. But I'm just getting started. I don't have the media presence that Shonna. That was one of the things, too, when we started. And I told her, I was like, I don't mind being involved with this project. I am terrible at self-promoting. So
I'm everywhere.
I told her, I was like, I will help with a lot of stuff. You're going to have to help promote this movie. So, that's where I'm at right now. I'm hoping to get a little bit more going as I get some of my projects off the ground. So,
and keep an eye on Shonna here because I have seen the trailer for the upcoming comedy.
The upcoming comedy series.
Hilarious.
It is. It's
good stuff.
And it's stuff that we know.
It's a shame that Millie's not on the microphone with us to talk to us about it.
Nice.
We
And you
basically, it's stories that we.
You said
we've
House of
experienced.
Stone?
yeah, House of Stone Productions.
I'll look that up then. I apologize.
I'm
I
very
was writing
jelly
it.
of the fact that you have Stone in your last name like that, by the way.
It's a good Swedish name, Stoneberg.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know I'm
Nice.
Swedish, right?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
See, look at what you learned.
I'm
every day.
English and Swedish.
There you go.
I think you should have a bumper at the end of every you in the House of Stone, baby.
That's well, I will tell you, not to give anything away, my gamer tag has House of Stone, and that's all it's
man.
That's kind of cool.
So I know this is I just want to throw that out there. Yes, I have a gamer tag. It's House of Stone, but I won't throw the
Well,
other.
the rest of us-
Hey, if you want to be swamped with all three of our listeners, you could maybe
Did my kid sign up
4.
recently?
Four.
We're up to 4.
Include
There you go.
Shauna.
Shauna's there.
Nice.
Okay.
All 4 of our listeners could just be like, hey, you want to do a team on Halo? And then you wouldn't. It would all be that's. Then you'd need probably like 9 more people to fill out your team.
I would
is
add
what
to
I'm
my
saying.
3 friends, is what you're saying.
Wow, no, you'd probably be like, well, we still have 2 spots to fill, but you're not going to be sworn. Yeah, that doesn't happen yet. It's okay. Let's put it this way. Our next T-shirt list project is going to have a T-shirt that says -1 listener. That's how that's.
I like it.
And that's how we ended up in that hole. It's wonderful. It's good stuff. That's this Thursday. It's going to be wonderful.
Now I'm just depressed, Scott. Thanks.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. The numbers are good.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Shonna, for such a great film.
Is it Gary?
Thank you.
Yes, it is, Gary.
Gary, I know it's Gary. It was for him.
Thank you.
I was like, no, we got that one right. We got that one. That's
Thank
a good
you for
take.
taking
I will treasure this
your
episode
time
forever.
How about this?
out of the convention
Thank you
to
for
sitting
taking
with
the
us.
time to come see it.
Yeah, no, I really,
Always.
really.
No,
really
of you
thank
guys are some of my favorite
I was
guys. You
bummed
know,
I had a
I'm
conflict.
I'm a huge fan.
Yes.
You
We
see
see
it
you
on
wear the
Facebook,
t-shirt.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. I work out on that shirt. I'm like,
Just your
"Give me this
workouts
guy.
are just
I'm
like,
coming for
"Grrr."
you. Do you see that? I'm not joking. I'm coming
awesome.
for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you guys are some of my favorite guys in the whole world.
Yay.
I love you guys.
Home, Indiana. Yeah.
Home,
that's
Indiana,
it. It is,
Indianapolis,
baby.
Indiana. That's right.
Keep making amazing films like that,
Yes,
please,
please.
because there is not enough of them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm over here like laurels. No, do it again.
And I think that'll about do us for Gaming with Rico here on this episode.
I like the sound of that gaming with
I do too.
Rico. Maybe a Rico.
So thank you, Gary. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, JC. Thank you, Scott, for letting us take this opportunity.
And thank you, Rico.
Yes, thank you.
And as always, you'll hear from us real soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.